Bananas in pajamas.
Was kidnapped and held for ransom.
They were stolen, and there was a ransom note for 100,000 Australian dollars for the return of the suits. And this came from Russian mafia.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking, B1?
I think I...
Kenneth Radley, the actor who played B1 from Bananas in Pyjamas for 10 years, has opened up about life inside the suit, performing at the Olympics and a run-in with the Russian mafia. What was the audition process like for Bananas in Pyjamas? Do you remember?
I had done a show at the ABC called Voting, where I dressed up as Genghis Khan. It was a sort of infotainment show to teach high school kids about our parliamentary system. And the director of that sometime later got in touch with me and said, we're making this show built on the song, built on the characters that are in Play School, Bananas in Pyjamas, and we're going to shoot a live action version of that. It's only an idea. We're going to shoot 3 episodes. Would you like to be in it? And I said, no, thank you. I'm a serious actor. I don't wear suits. I'm a Shakespeare actor. I've studied at NIDA. And then I said, oh, okay. So I went along and spoke to them further about it. And then, fortunately, they had another actor come in to play the other banana. And it was my good friend and colleague from NIDA called Nicholas Opolsky. And as soon as Nicholas was involved, I said, yeah, let's do it. And the director said, who wants to play B1? And I said, me.
Why did you want to be B1? Why B1 over B2?
He just sounded like it was more important.
How hot was it in that B1 suit? Because I can imagine it was pretty warm.
Yeah, it was crazy, particularly in the early suits, the prototypes. They were really, really thick, multiple layers of stuff, on top of which was the blue and white striped costume. It was really impossibly hot, outrageous. The studio at ABC in Sydney, which is now sold, was cooled down to zero, or as close to zero as they could get, because we were cooking inside the suit. So the crew was all dressed up in sort of Arctic gear in the studio, and the bananas are sweating like this. It was impossibly hot.
I have heard rumours of this wild story about the Bananas in Pyjamas costumes getting stolen and held for ransom. I've only heard bits and pieces. So Kenneth, could you please tell me what this story is all about?
Nicholas and I didn't know about this until recently, when we went to a sort of reunion meeting from the marketing and merchandising people from Bananas, these fabulous men called Fred and Graham. Graham Grasby was the head of marketing and franchising and selling bananas in those days, and Graham went all over the world with some banana suits to get photo opportunities at places like London Tower and the White House, internationally renowned areas, and there's the bananas, he would just find any kind of 6-foot people, actor-type dancers, and put them in a suit. And Graham told this story, and Nicholas and I just are going, what? And he took the suits to, I believe, to Moscow, to try and sell them to in Red Square, and so the suits were there, and then the story goes they were stolen. The suits were stolen, and there was a ransom note given to Grasby for 100,000 Australian dollars for the return of the suits. And this is a marketing guy from the ABC, and this came from Russian mafia, I believe. And Graham got in touch with ABC Sydney and said, this has happened. They want 100 grand. What will we do? And the head of ABC said, well, we're not going to give 100 grand. How much do they cost to replace, to make? And Graham said they're $20,000 actually to make. And so the head of ABC said, okay, well, maybe offer them 20. And that way we either get the suits back or we can use the 20 to make new suit, like that. Graham said, okay. So they wired 20 grand Australian through, and then he's walking with a briefcase to meet the Russian mafia to give them 20,000 for the suits, and he stopped and thought, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm a marketing guy walking to meet the Russian mafia, and so he went straight to the airport, got on a plane, and with the 20 grand. But and Nicholas and I just heard this recently, and we're just going, oh my God! So the bananas are actually in some gulag in Russia, in some freezing cold jail, and so we're improvising what the bananas might be saying. No, we go, do you think they're coming for us, B2? I don't know, B1. Perhaps they're busy, you know. Would you like another bowl of borscht? I say, yes, B2. And what's that music they keep playing?
That is the wildest story I've ever heard. Oh.
It's Australia's Bananas in Pyjamas.
The Bananas in Pyjamas were quite memorably in the closing ceremony of the Sydney Olympics back in 2000. Was that you in the suit by any chance?
Certainly was. That's the longest we've been in the suit. It was a wonderful, wonderful, amazing day. And we were in the suit for, I don't know, maybe an hour, which usually it was 15 minutes, you know. So we were for an hour just working our butts off out there, going around the Stadium Australia circuit on a float with the teddies, you know, with the other cast members. And people are like 100,000 people screaming, bananas, bananas. You know, it was huge. It was great. We're dancing, you know, with Kylie Minogue and everything in the suits. And finally, the wardrobe costume assistants took us down the vomitory to get the suits off. And they took us down there, we were almost expiring, and they took the heads off us. And there's a couple of hundred athletes standing there, like the best athletes in the world, with bits of paper wanting the bananas autographs, you know. Oh my God, it should be, you know, you're the fast runners, you're the high jumpers, we're sort of, you know, classically trained bananas, you know.
Kenneth, it has been so lovely to chat to you. What an amazing career you've had. Thank you for taking the time to walk me through it and tell me about that crazy, crazy hostage story in Russia. I appreciate it.
It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you, Andrew.
Oh, me too. I feel so good this morning. Me too, B1. I feel on top of the
Cause on Tuesdays they all try to catch them on the way.
I think they're coming for us, B2.